My purpose is to unite all opposites, which is the meaning of speculative logic and speculative understanding. And in this video, I will try to show you that the death of Europe, the suicide of Europe, coincide with the birth of Europe, because the demographic, cultural, political death of Europe or suicide brings about the spiritual rebirth, which is also the birth of Europe. And here are a list of books. Adios America, The Death of the West, Suicide of a Superpower, Germany abolishes itself, Canada in Decay, The French Suicide, and finally, The Strange Death of Europe. These books represent a moment in the development of the consciousness of Europeans, because what these writers do not understand, or what they secretly hope maybe, is that they believe that a process is independent from the observer. So they believe that the death of Europe, which is brought about by the demographic replacement of Europeans, is a fixed, an immovable process. They do not understand that consciousness is part of the process, and that Europeans becoming conscious of their own suicide or their own death changes the process, and it brings about the quest for a search for identity and a search for spiritual values. And this process of trying to escape from the impending doom about Europe brings about the spiritual birth of Europe, because we, at this moment, if you understand my words, we are a process of Europe becoming conscious of itself. Odinn, not now, but at some point, Odinn will become conscious of himself through us. The spirit of Odinn will live through us in the European community, and the divine will become manifest within its own community. But spirit is immaterial. It is that which lives in the mind. And I would like to quote the lyrics of a song that I like very much, Bring Me to Life by Evanescence. And you have probably noticed that Evanescence is the kind of rock band that pleases mostly young white kids. I don't say that you have to be white to appreciate this kind of music, because good music is universal, but the kind of people who listen to this song when they were in their teenage years or even as adults, they were mostly white Europeans with a gothic mindset, kind of a romantic mood, nostalgia, melancholia, and kind of a dark mood, anxiety, and yeah. And I realized many years ago that the spirit of Europe is made manifest in modern pop culture. And that's my view of paganism, which becomes cultural Hegelianism, is that spirit is not only made manifest in the old folk songs and tales and fairy tales and stories and myth and folk legends, but also in the core of modern pop culture, which the Europeans who are in the process of revolting against the modern world think that modern pop culture is the embodiment of decadence and degeneracy. But what they don't see, and what I am here to show them, is that our spirit as Europeans, but there is only one spirit, and the European spirit is just a particular moment, a particular determination of the evolution of world spirit. But as of now, we'll talk about the European spirit, is made manifest in the heart of modern pop culture. And my purpose is to make you see that our spirit lives on. And the lyrics of this song, Bring Me to Life, it says, I can't believe I couldn't see, kept in the dark, but you were there in front of me. Bring me to life. I've been sleeping 1,000 years, it seems. Got to open my eyes to everything. The meaning of these lyrics, I had to open my eyes to everything. Translated into the phenomenology of spirit means I had to wake me up to, we as a collective spiritual entity, but me also as an individual, as a mind. I had to open my eyes to immigration, the problems of security, the conflict between socialism, the medias and their deception. I had to open my eyes to libertarianism, conservatism, white identity, white nationalism, the more far-right views of European identity politics. I had to open my eyes to paganism. I had to open my eyes to cosmotheism, which is the European consciousness reaching its peak and abolishing itself, because when you become a cosmotheist, you lose your ethnic identity and you become one with the cosmos. And I had to open my eyes to Hegel's philosophy, and the Hegelian philosophy teaches us that all things are one, and that a conceptual and speculative understanding of things is a collapse of the opposites into a unity. So I had to awaken my eyes and to open my mind to everything. And this song teaches us that we have had to go through a process of awakening, of adopting multiple identities, because we are in search of our real, substantial, spiritual identity. And we will wake up collectively, and it will begin with the rise and the awakening of the European spirit. It will be Odinn becoming conscious of himself as the spirit of his community, because in the book that I'm beginning to comment, it says that God and Odinn is the divine for Europeans, the gods of Europeans, is made manifest only in his community. He must becomes a spirit living within his community and living within the minds of the believers and of the knowers. It's not a question of belief; it's a question of knowing the spiritual identity of the members of the community. And it will begin in Europe, but it will spread to the whole world, because spirit is using its European moments, its particular aspect, to absolutize itself and to become world spirit, conscious of itself. And I said at the beginning of the video that the death of Europe, which is the greatest political event of the second half of the 20th century and the early 21st century, that the death of Europeans brings about, by a dialectical interplay, the birth of Europe. So death and birth are one, and this is the Christian myth of the death of Christ on the cross, which brings about the birth and the rebirth of the Holy Spirit, and that the birth of Spirit requires a ritual sacrifice of self. And this is my mission, to accept, to let go of my individual self, in order that my transcendental higher self might rise and shine and become manifest to itself. And this is the symbolic of Odinn sacrifices an eye, inflicting pain unto itself to acquire knowledge. And this is a very Christian symbol, that in order to gain knowledge, you have to sacrifice a part of yourself. And Odinn did not complain. It was painful, but he stood firm, and he stood his ground, and he was strong in the face of adversity, and he brought wisdom to his people. And we must become Odinn, because we must become the self-consciousness of Europe. And I must, not as an individual, precisely, I must transcend my individuality, and my mind must become one with Odinn. And there are two other songs that I would like you to hear by Eminem, and I would like you, if you are a European pagan, or anyone, but at this moment in time I'm talking mostly to European pagans, to see in the two songs by Eminem, Kings Never Die and Phenomenal, the manifestation of Odinn's spirit in the core of modern pop culture. You have to understand that if our gods and our spirit is really immortal, really everlasting, really strong to the point of being above death, then even the most decadent forms of modernity will not prevent our spirit from expressing itself and to reaching out to us. And if you have followed broadly the videos of this channel with the phenomenology of spirit, the phenomenology of the European mind, if you are vaguely familiar with Hegel, and I try to familiarize you, to make you acquainted with the philosophy of Hegel, you will realize that these three songs that I put in the description below, Bring Me to Life by Evanescence, Kings Never Die by Eminem, and Phenomenal, they express the phenomenology of our spirit as Europeans, but spirit is beyond particularities. Spirit is universal, but the universal cannot exist without particularizing itself. So the phenomenology of the European mind is a moment in the process of self-revelation of spirit to himself. And as an individual, I must go through the dark. I must confront my own negativity, and I must conquer my own darkness and my own negativity, and I must illuminate the dark and let the sun, the light of the eternal sun, shine within the darkness. And this is my task. I am afraid of it because it's a scary prospect, but I must find the inner resources, the inner strength to be a light within the dark and to be true to myself, to my essential self, my conceptual self, and I must conquer myself, and which will bring about the illumination of others and the self-illumination of spirit. And this is what I was made for, and where my entire existence has led me to this point. And yeah, so we are a spirit becoming conscious of itself. So the European gods, the Hyperboreans, Odinn, spirit will become manifest. It will become real and deadly serious, but it will not lose its sense of humor and its sense of beauty and awe. It will be a it will be awesome, scary but awesome, and it will be so amazing that we will all wish, in spite of the difficulties, the suffering, the pain, the tragedy, we will wish it to be eternal, and we will wish that it starts all over again, because once we have overcome the negative, we will be illuminated by our own brilliance. I can promise you that. So stay with me, and we will become true to ourselves. We will conquer ourselves, and I will conquer myself and illuminate myself and others. So yeah, listen to the songs. They are worth it.